right, what's going on? All right, so I got a couple of statistics and I want to go over, and numbers really do a really good job of telling the truth. And I guess that's why they say men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. All right, so let's take a little bit of these statistics and go through them. I'm going to run through them. So if you want to pause this video, you can. But I just want to run through these, and it's going to be a comparison from baby boomers to Gen Z. All right. So I saw this today and I wanted to take notes of these. Okay. I didn't originate this. These numbers were always here. Other people have used them before, but I want to talk from a deeper angle about these numbers. Okay. So as you can see, I'm gonna let you see it so you can take a snapshot of it. Okay. So pause the video, take these notes, and then I'm gonna read them. Okay. All right. So now, the baby boomers of 1970 versus Gen Z. Okay. 2023. So it's a snapshot from 2023 versus 1970. All right. So the average house cost about $15,000 in 1970. In 2023, the average house is $436,000. The average rent in 1970 is $108,000. I'm sorry. The average rent in 1970 is $108, and it's $2,000 in 2023. So respectively, the average house in 1970 to 2023, it went up a whopping 29 times. The average rent in 70 versus 23, it went up a whopping 20 times. College tuition, $500 in 1970. It's $11,000 in 2023. It went up a whopping 20 times. A gallon of gas in 1970 was 36 cents, and today it's gone up 10 to 12 times. It is, obviously it fluctuates every day, but $3.80. The average income in 1970 was $9,000 a year, and today it's $56,000 a year. That's only gone up 6 times. Even the children in the house in 1970, it was about 3.5 children in the house, and today it is 1.9 children in the house. And dual incomes. Okay, that means both parents were in the home working. You have 47% dual income households in 1970, and then you have 65% dual incomes in 2023. So, for me, when I look at the numbers, I'm not trying to make a story. I'm just trying to see if the numbers tell me a story. And here's what the numbers tell me. The numbers tell me based on reality today and the relationship between men and women. Women back then were a lot different than the women today. If we put 100 women from 2023 to 100 women in 1970, they would look starkly different, because today we would consider the women today as modern women. They've evolved very much so over the last 50 years. Men, we have not. We have not evolved over the last 50 years like women have evolved. And what is expected of women in 1970 is not, it's offensive to women today, but what was expected of men in 1970 is expected of men today. So what is that? What is expected of men today? We are expected to be the providers, and we are expected to be the protectors. Okay, so in most simplistic form, let's look at 1970 and we say, okay, if I am a man, as you see, and a woman says to me, I expect you to provide, I expect you to protect, and I expect you to do it, and I expect it to be on the strength of you. And I'm making $9,000 a year, which, if $9,000 broken down, is essentially $750 a month. If I'm making $750 a month and rent is $108, and then you take into consideration the utilities should be less than that, groceries, so on and so forth. $750 to be able to accomplish what that woman is expecting of me is very, very much so doable. And I don't have a problem with that. So even with college, if the annual tuition is $500, then we're looking at round up $42 a month for tuition. So I feel pretty good and confident with the average income during 1970 of $9,000. If that's what I'm making, I feel very confident that I am able to not only maintain the house and help pay for our children's college education. I feel comfortable us having children and being able to take care of them because the cost of groceries, clothes, and things of that nature. Now, that's the average income. Would I strive to make more than 9,000? Absolutely. But just talking about the average man, then that would be something that I feel very confident that I could do on my own without my wife helping me, without her having to have an income as well. Now, if she had an income, that would be fine. But if she didn't have an income, the weight of the responsibility wouldn't be so much on me. Now, we look back and we look at our fathers and our grandfathers, or whatever the case may be, depending on how old you are. But we look back on that, and not only do today's modern women like to reference the men of that time frame as having no problem holding it down, seeing their dads do it, seeing their grandpas do it, or seeing it happen. The delusion is thinking that that time applies to today as well. That's the delusion of it. That time frame does not apply to today. A couple of other variables will help you understand what was going on during that time. And clearly that was before my time. I'm only 41. I'm an 81 baby. But when we go back and we look at the history, what was going on during that time is one of the things that happened when it was no pressure to go to college because there was trades. Now, I know they were trying to get rid of trades at that time, shortly after Martin Luther King's assassination. But during that time, there was trades. When you graduated from school, you were a certified plumber, electrician, and some other things. So you had those things, and then you could go into, even if you didn't want to work for somebody, you had a skill that you could use to make money within your community and even outside of the community, depending on how far you wanted to go. So you had that at your beckon. College was something that if you wanted a specialty trade, to become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever the case may be, you could do that, but it wasn't necessary. Not only was that not necessary, 401ks was not the thing back then. It was pensions. So pensions were fully funded by the company that you worked for, and it was way better than the 401k. And and there were a lot of factory jobs during that time. So even if you didn't have an education, if you got a job at a factory, you would work at the factory, and the factory paid relatively good money based on the economics of things, in terms of the check and being able to do what you needed and wanted to do with that. Uh, and so, one of the things that I looked into was what is $9,000 in comparison to the jump of houses, rent, tuition, gas. What would $9,000 if in 1970 a house was $436,000? Because you got to think about this. And how did I come up with this number? I said, well, 9,000 is 60% of 15,000. 9,000 being the income at 1970, and 15,000 being the cost of a house. So just from a year's worth of income, you had 60%. I'm not counting taxes, but you had 60% of what the home cost made in 1 year. 60% of what you made of $9,000 was that 60. It was 60% of the house value, which is 15,000. So, relatively speaking, $9,000 in 1970, in comparison to buying the average size with the average costing house, you would need to make today $261,600 to be the equivalent of 60% of today's home of the average $436,000. So now we're not talking about these little homes, because I know my mom, she had a home before I was born, and the mortgage was like $35. So she had a modular home. She didn't have when I say an average home, if you think about what a $436,000 home cost where you live, it can kind of give you a picture. But keep in mind, if you are looking at homes in California, New York, Texas, they're going to be starkly different. You can get more bang from your buck in Texas than you can get in California or New York. Hold on a second. So, that being said, you would need $261,000 a year to have the type of income you need to be compared to a man making $9,000 in 1970. That $260,000 would take you as far as that $9,000 would take you in 1970. Yet, women today, in the boatloads, hold men to the same standard of being able to make that kind of to be able to hold the same amount of responsibilities. And even though in 1970, 47% of the households were dual income and 65% today, we have to take a deeper look in terms of what are the women saying and doing with their money? What do they say their money is for, and what are they doing with their money? So if a woman gets her paycheck and she feels like the man is supposed to take care of all of the responsibilities, then the only way that man is going to find it doable today, with the expectations of her wanting to live in a house, with her having the expectation of wanting to be able to afford tuition for her children, he's going to have to make over $250,000. So now, how many people make over $250,000? So the answer is 7%. Not 7% men, not 7% tied to a certain ethnicity. That's everything, and that's everyone. That's all people. All people. So realistically, if we're just being logical here, if a woman expects a man today to be able to take care of every last bill and has a high level of expectation of high-end clothes, cars, homes, and lifestyle, The $260,000 is not going to even be enough. That's going to be average. So $260,000. So a 7% of a group of men and women would be average in a delusional woman's mind who thinks that way. Now, if you're not the type of person to think that way, I ain't talking to you. But if you do think that way, what you're saying is what's rare is normal for you. And you see that. You see women who treat men who make over six figures. We ain't even talking about a quarter million, but men that make over six figures, they act like they're so plentiful. They act like they're so. I mean, part of the numbers, part of the statistics that's not included in here is people who are, doing fraud and scams to make money. And you have a lot of women today who they want a scammer, they want a fraud type dude because at the end of the day, they like the freedom to be able to get up and go and get that money right away. They want you to make money every day. They don't want you to make money and get paid every week or every 2 weeks or every month or once or twice a month. They want you to make that money right away. They're not sitting around waiting for the check. And you don't have the availability to be with them and go where they want to go if you're working a 9 to 5 job, whether you're high end or not. You have some women that don't even want to be with doctors and lawyers because the lack of availability. But then you do have some women that like the fact that men don't have availability because that gives them freedom to be able to utilize the resources that the man brings in while having their fun. And so sometimes you see women that are out there that are playing games behind men's back while men are going out there working hard to try to provide a lifestyle for them. All right. And we're not going to be novice to the fact that these types of women exist, and we're not going to be novice to the fact that those women that do that, that's not an anomaly. That's actually a significant amount of women that think this way and do this way. And there are platforms where this behavior is encouraged. I was watching this video of this show, and they had took it was an episode of Survivor. And no, this wasn't the first time this was done, but this is the trouble when we get into women and men competing. Women and men shouldn't compete against each other because they are not the same. Whether it's mentally, whether it's on a mental level or a physical level, men and women have different disadvantages and advantages. So it would be no point in competing with a woman in something that she innately does better than men, and it would be no point vice versa. So, anyway, nonetheless, so these women were on an island and these men were on an island, and they divided them up and they put the woman team and the men team. And what ended up happening was they had to work to survive, and the women were having all kinds of problems. But they were coming out with their chest out, talking about how they didn't need men, and they're going to show once and for all why women don't need men, which is an absolute stupid, delusional thing to say, okay? Seeing that men have built the world that we live in. Nonetheless, the competition goes on, and the women are struggling to do the basic things. And I'm not pouring on women, but what I'm saying is women are designed to do what women are designed to do, and women are not designed to do what women are not designed to do. This is why men and women are interdependent upon each other, because there are things that men are not designed to do that women are designed to do. And when we're sitting there competing and fighting over the roles that we're supposed to play, we're really doing ourselves a disservice, because men are good at doing certain things and women are good at doing certain things. And if there is some type of anomaly where a woman performs something better than a man, better than her man, or vice versa, then they should identify that in the relationship, and then they should move accordingly. But what we shouldn't do is we shouldn't lie to ourselves and say we're better at something than our spouse, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be on the same team. Let the man do what the man do. Let the woman do what the woman do. So these women were struggling. And it pained this woman to go over and have to ask this man, could she get some amber from their fire so they could start a fire for themselves. Like, it pains a woman. And you see that in society today, where men have been reduced to just sperm donors. And I think women would have, in general, complete 100% confidence that they would never, ever, ever need a man unless if they knew how to create children without men, or if they could afford to, because a lot of people can't afford to. But even if you get able to go to a sperm bank, you still are using men. Even if you live on your own or whatever the case may be, and you need to get the HVAC system fixed, or you need to get that car fixed or whatever the case may be, you're not going to a woman to do those things. You're going to a man to do those things. And even if you had been conscious enough to say, I'm going to make sure I find a woman that can do it, you would be hard pressed to find a woman to do male dominated jobs, because that is not what women are choosing to do when given the choice to do them. Women aren't interested in building bridges, roads, and things of that nature, houses, or different types of skyscraper architecture. What women aren't running to jump to those roles. They are capable of doing those things, but they are showing that they do not desire to do those things. They are desiring to do something else. So again, like I said, these women were struggling. And here is the thing. Women will always struggle more than a man struggles with the physical nature of Earth. I'm going to say that again. Women will always struggle in comparison to men with the physical nature of Earth. If you don't have a certain level of strength to do something, then manipulating nature is going to become more and more of a challenge. And even if you're able to develop your muscles, your strength to be able to do things above and beyond most women, you are still going to fall behind the 8 ball when it comes to a man in the physical sense, when it comes to peaking your strength. If you don't believe me, go look in the Guinness Book of World Records of the person who, the woman, the strongest bench, the most bench press pounds by a woman versus a man. And it's like 600 for a woman, 600 and something for a woman, and it's 1,300 and something for a man. Why hasn't that woman at 600 pounds peaked out to 1,300? Why can't she even get to 700? Why can't she even get to 800? I mean, that woman is trying her best to get as strong as she can. She peaked out at 600. And 600 is big because I've never done 600. So yes, a woman can work very, very hard to become stronger than the average man, even an above average man. But if the average man works his tail off to become as strong as he can, just like she does, the gap that there'll be between the two is going to be huge. When you subtract 1,600 from 1,300, that's a huge gap. Just the difference in the amount that's between 600 and 1,300 is larger than the amount she can lift. Now again, these are facts, not opinions. These are facts. And you got women today that are saying that men, they're not going to be with this woman in this video. She was having a really hard time of just going to the guys and saying, can you guys help us? Or just surrendering and saying, you know what, this is a pointless fight. This is your field. This is what you do. And we love and we appreciate you. Let's figure out how we can work together. Because men and women, since they're not the same, there should be no competition. Men and women shouldn't even fight, because a woman shouldn't be jockeying to be a man. But this feminism, this YouTube movement, all of this stuff has women trying to manage and handle masculinity. Don't tell me what to do. I'm a boss chick. Men don't want bosses. Men want someone to fit their program. See, that's y'all problem. Y'all want slaves. Y'all want subordinates. No, we want somebody, if we have a vision, we want somebody that's going to help me with the vision. And a boss chick isn't thinking about helping you with your vision. She's thinking about her own vision. And there's nothing wrong with a woman that wants her own vision, but you can't have it any other way. It's kind of like, you see these women today, they have these fans only pages, and they, for some strange reason, think they can have it all. So they think they're going to be able to have a fans only page and make a ton of money. And by the same token, she's going to find her dream man and be able to not only get him, but going to be able to keep him. And doesn't think for 1 second about the man of her dreams is not going to want a woman who had a fans only page. So, ladies, you don't get a chance to do whatever you want to do and then use an eraser and act like it doesn't exist. I see these gold digger videos. These women are very rude and they're very disrespectful to the men. And as soon as they see something that they like about a man, they switch it up. The energy changes. They go from get away from me, don't talk to me, I don't like you, I'm not attracted to you, I got a boyfriend, this, that, and the other. And they see these men go back to their cars, or they see these men show jewelry or have a house. I don't even want to say jewelry now because women know that it's a hard thing to tell between real and fake jewelry. So they just discounting all of that. They discounting all the designer shoes and clothes and stuff like that because they know they can be easily ripoffs. But when they see a man in a nice car, a Lamborghini, a Porsche, a Maserati, something that symbolizes a lot of money, they will instantly go from unattracted to you, not wanting to speak to you, not wanting to talk to you, to now you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it's so comical because they think men are so primitively stupid that we are supposed to overlook that because, hey, you got my attention now, buddy. But the reality is, these men wanted to have some type of dealings with you, and they wanted to know that you like them for them. And it just shows more and more every day that women are they're making it harder and harder to approach them, to talk to them, and to get an opportunity to show who you are as a person of character. They don't even care about that. Today's women is so superficial. So superficial. As soon as they see you got some money, you're no longer a stranger. As soon as they see you got some money, you're cute. As soon as they see you got some money, they want to be dealing with you. They want to bother with you. But by the same token, as soon as they see you got some money, they don't even want to qualify for it. They just want to get right to spending your money. Oh, you know what? Maybe you can take me shopping. What's my last name? Well. And it used to be one of those types of things. You didn't ask certain people certain things if you didn't have a certain type of relationship with them. So gone are the days where a woman wants to go through the process of getting to know you and want to earn the right to be your girl. She really literally thinks that she's so beautiful and so fine, even though it's a lot of beautiful and a lot of fine women. She thinks she's so exclusive and so rare that in that delusion, she thinks that if she sees you and you have something that she wants or that can benefit her, that at that moment you automatically her girlfriend. And looking at these numbers right here, we're fighting against each other as men and women when the real fight shouldn't be against each other. The real fight should be the ones that are in charge that are making life such that inflation and the cost of living is going up, that we band together to try to deal with those types of people so we can eradicate these types of things from happening. But us fighting with each other is the distraction that they want for us. They want every kind of divide. If it ain't gender divide, it's color divide. If it ain't color divide, it's weight divide. If it ain't weight divide, it's height divide. If it ain't height divide, it's just something that we're doing that keeps us fighting with each other, and it allows us to be in a paralysis state where we don't get anything done and get anything accomplished. And then they come and they go behind our backs and they make policies and they make rules and this, that, and the other. And then when those things are in place, it's hard and nothing is you'd be hard up to try to do anything about it. You work hard to get your credit to where it is. You have you have a bad episode or a bad period where you're not paying your bills, or you're late on this, or you're late on that, or you get this turned off, you get that turned off, and everything that you work for from a credit score standpoint is gone. You'd have lost 100 points. You'd have lost 150 points. you done lost 200 points or whatever the case may be, and you were really, really trying. And instead of you trying to work with your man, instead of, us working together, you would rather try to use a man to sponsor you to get you off to another place that you want to go and then leave him behind after 5 to 8 years of marriage. There's this man. He was 19 years old. He married his high school sweetheart, right? He gets married to her. They have a few children. After about 10 years, they got a house and everything, started a family. After about 10 years, she decided she didn't want to be with him anymore. He was devastated. He was devastated because he had dedicated his whole life to building with her. And she just all of a sudden, she wasn't feeling it anymore. So she left and then left him destitute. Then he goes and he tries to get himself together and find out, okay, I'm going to get my life together and I'm going to go to the military. He goes to the military. This isn't my story. This is a story that is circulating on the internet, but it's common. It happens. So he gets his life together and he goes into the military. She finds out he's going to the military and automatically her dollar signs start ringing around her head in circles. And she says, I'm going to get me some more money. And they said, we don't have a problem with you coming after him for some money. But guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to agree to this DNA test so we can make sure we can establish that these are the kids, are his kids. Come to find out, 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid ain't his. And he's devastated because he loves these kids. And she says, her response is, well, he should have known it won't his kids in the first place. So how do you call yourself a person that cares deeply about someone and someone else's outcome when you can do that? Or you got women that they don't want to deal with you anymore. They try to destroy you. Or you got women that'll throw you in jail on some lies and fictitious stuff, which fictitious is the same thing as lies, but will take you to court and try to exploit you, defame you, this, that, and the other. You got women out there who, if they have a dealing with you and you don't want to have if they don't get what they want from you, is nothing stopping women from saying, okay, well, I'm going to defame him, or I'm going to lie on him, or I'm going to destroy his life because I didn't get what I wanted from him. And guess what? It ain't no more statute of limitations. This can come 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years after the whole fact. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say about Bill Cosby. I don't care. But to me, it's a little suspect that it took 30 years for somebody to come up and say, Bill Cosby did this, Bill Cosby did that. And then it's so crazy how much the weight of a woman's word is the gospel and hard evidence. I just want to know, when in each situation, where is the facts? Can we just listen to the facts and not the people? You said that this person did this to you. Show me proof. Do you have something written? And even on the flip side, when a man has proof that he didn't do something or this person is lying against him, he still gets punished. Men have always been the front line for anything that's trying to disrupt our families, our women, and our children. And so when you have an agenda and you have a group and you have men that stand in front of the agenda, men will die to keep the agenda from taking over their ideals of how they should be living. So once you remove the men, and ladies, you are, and women, you're helping. I don't like to say ladies because ladies aren't like this, but women, you actually help aid and assist the powers that be in breaking down the citadel of your structure. It's like when you start acting insensitive towards men, and when you start carrying on and you try to use men and abuse men and defame them, you are unpaid agents. Unpaid agents. You know, if I was single and a woman didn't want to talk to me, she doesn't have to talk to me. I don't have to be. She may not like my type. She might not like my skin color. She might not like my face. She might not like something about me or multiple things about me. That's totally okay. That's totally fine. But keep that same energy when you see me doing well and you see me having the type of resources that you always wanted to have. Just keep that same energy. And if you are able to find out that a man has what you want and what you need, and you're really not interested in him, stop playing with him. Because you're going to run across the wrong man and play with his heart. And ain't no telling what he's going to do. And no, that's not right. But that's life. Nobody wants to be played with. And nobody wants to be abused. You using a man for 5 years, 10 years to get where you want to get to and then dropping him off like a bad habit, that ain't a good look. That's not a good look for you. That's not a good look for him. That's not a good look for us as a people. If men and women would just fall in line and play their positions, we could get things accomplished. We could get certain inalienable rights back to us, and we could actually move closer towards the freedoms that we want to have, that we deserve to have. But we're in competition with each other. Like, they want to get rid of the men. They want to make women men. And then the men that fight to be men are fighting women on who's going to be the men. And nobody wants to be the woman. Nobody wants to be the woman. And the woman is so critical and pivotal to the continuum of our society. But nobody wants to be the woman anymore. Nobody wants to play the role of the woman. Somebody talked you out of being a woman. Somebody talked you out of being able to take great pride in cooking and cleaning. Taking great pride in creating a place of peace and balance. Somebody talked you out of being able to be a caterer and a nurturer to your husband, to be the alternator to his battery and recharge him every day to go out there and do what he got to do for his family. Loyalty and faithfulness. They took that away from you. Some of you go out there and you can have sex as detached as a man can. You can sleep with a man and you can say, all right, I'll talk to you later, and then have no qualms or any strings about it. And then you beat your chest and you're proud about that. But that's not the nature of a woman. Some of you are going, you'll say, I'm going to go F a man. But a woman can't F a man. A woman can only get F'd by a man. You walk around like you got bigger kahunas than men do. Yeah, because men ain't stepping up this, that, and the other. Well, what promotes and encourage men to be men? The only men that are trying to be men are the men who are, it's all coming from within. Because there's nothing on the outside, including our women and society, that's encouraging men, hey man, you're a man, good job. You know, if a man rushes in and he saves a family out of a fire, once upon a time he was lauded as a hero. Now he does that and it's just like, what, you want a cookie? And it's like, nah, but I mean, it'd be nice to get appreciated. I don't care what happens. Men never get the attention that women get. And we're okay with that because that's the reality. But a man, even if he puts on, man, if I put on my suit and I put on, and I go and get my face, facial, and I do all of the other stuff like that, and I look the very best that I can, I still don't compare to the average woman. I don't compare to a below average woman. You a woman, you can go outside and you can get some. You can get men to line up for. To intertwine with you. You can get men to line up to intertwine with you if you show that you're available. And some of y'all are tricked to show that you're available. But like what I was saying about the OnlyFans, you think that you're going to be able to have both things. You think every man's going to sit around and wait for you. You're going to use your best years to have fun. And then you're going to use your waning years to give it to some man to deal with all of the baggage and trash that you picked up along the way to deal with. But he should be cool with it because you still look good. Ladies, I got news for you. It's some bad women out there, some good-looking women, but your looks is not going to get you married. Your looks, you may have the face of faces, your facial symmetry, everything, nose, ears, mouth, eyes, all flowing together like the beautiful waters. But it doesn't even matter because that is only going to uh, get you the attention from a man that wants something to do with you physically. Men aren't saying, "Look at her. I want to be in a relationship with her." Only the stupid men are saying that. The men that you don't want are saying that. The beta males are saying that. Or you walk around and you driving around nice cars and you got a lot of money and you think that men care about that. But only the men that don't know how to get money is saying that. Only the men that need money, need help are into that. He looking for a cougar or somebody that's going to take care of him so he can be a baby boy. Mm-mm. So we got to get this together, man. And then another thing is, you know, if we even go back further to the 50s, houses were the average house cost was 8450, $8,450. Then the 60s it moved to 17 plus. Then it moved to 30 plus in the 70s. Then it moved to um hold on, I'm reading something wrong. Sorry. My apologies. Dual incomes back in the 50s was 25%, and it's moved its way up 30 each 10-year increments on average is 25, 30, 40, 50, 55, 60, 60, 60, 65. Marriage rates was at 90% in the 50s. That was a thing to do, you know. It made sense. It was a good thing for men to do to get married in the 50s. And now look at it. The divorce rates are higher than marriages. We're talking about 44, 42, 44% now. And the divorce rates are higher than that. So we got more people divorcing than we have married. We got to do something, guys. You know, our race of people, I'm not talking about one race, but the human race of people, we're in danger. And the powers that be don't give a darn about us. They talk about overpopulation, right? Overpopulation, that's really ludicrous. Because you could take every person on the face of this earth and line them up shoulder to shoulder, and we would fit a small country. When you drive through places, when you drive through places like Oklahoma or the Midwest or whatever the case may be, all you see is land upon land upon land upon land. We're not overcrowded, guys. They just don't want the resources to be used by all of the people. But you keep on being asleep fighting with each other. You keep on being asleep. Now, the last thing that I want to transition to in terms of working together, how easy is it to get along? How easy? How easy is it to walk into your bank and say, I need a loan? Personal or business? Whereas once upon a time, your credit score could help you do it. But that's becoming more of a challenge now, too. So, how can you go and get a loan? Or what happens when one person in our family, let's say we got a family of 5, one person in our family makes it and they're successful. Why are we not helping the rest of our family become successful? So it's just one person in the family that make a lot of money and everybody else is still struggling. Why aren't we getting together to try to figure out how we can get 2 people in our family to be financially stable, 3 people, and keep working it? Granted, there's going to be some people that they're just too far gone, but all of us ain't too far gone. We all can't be too far gone. We done created and invented so many things that we use today in the world that we still don't get credit for. Excuse me. It's late. Let's say we have a family. Let me give you the blueprint for how family is nuclear formula for economics. Let's take a family of five, okay? Uh, hu- uh, we're not gonna even talk about a husband and a wife because majority of us are born, especially in my community, majority of us are born into single family homes. 80%, I want to say, 80% of us are born in single family homes. Go look that up. But it's higher than 50%. It's I want to say it's 80% with certainty. But go look that up. Anyway, so let's just say we got a mom and we ain't gonna name genders. We're just gonna put them as letters, and we got four children. A The children names are A, B, C, and D. Okay, and we're gonna call Mama Queen, right? Cause y'all like to be calling yourselves queens. Well, let's call Mama Queen. Let's name her Queenie, so we're not being funny. So Queenie has four children: A, B, C, and D. And let's just say child B was the special one in terms of going to school, making good grades, graduating high school, going to college, and becoming very successful, and ended up making a lot of money. What's wrong with our community is child B won't do child B will go and live a great life and won't do anything to help A, C, or D. And in some cases, not even Queenie. Queenie, A, C, and D go through life and they are just average, struggling. But B has carved out a wonderful life. B has nice houses, nice car. I said houses, cars. You know, B is really flexing his or her lifestyle. So now what happens? It just continues. But what was supposed to happen? B is supposed to be compassionate and concerned about Queenie and ACD. And A has an idea, a business idea. A wants to start a lawn care service. So there's nobody he can really go to, he or she go to. So A goes to B and B turns him down. But now, how is it supposed to work? A and B are supposed to sit down. And B is supposed to say to A, show me your business plan. And then A is supposed to do everything that he can or she can to get her business plan or his business plan together. A is supposed to come to B and have a thorough business plan. And B is supposed to care enough about A that if it needs some work, to try to help A. But if A puts together a business plan that's doable, that's achievable, and B can spare it, B is supposed to help A and agree to dates, timelines, so on and so forth, and the structure of the money and how it's going to be loaned. B should get something out of it. So B can loan A money and B can say, I want this money by this time and I want this much interest rate on it. This is going to be a 10% interest, or this is going to be a 20% interest. I'll give you 100,000, and then A can say, hey, look, I need 50,000, and then B can say, yeah, but you might need more than that. He said, no, that's A says, no, that's all I really need, and B can be there to say, but if something goes wrong, you need money for miscellaneous. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you double what you asked for because number one, I can, and number two, I'm not telling you to use that extra 50,000 frivolously, but keep it in a safe place and try to never use it, and just go out there and try to do your 50,000. Because what I don't want you to do is to have to come back to me after I gave you a loan. And then B has to be willing to be detached from that money in case something goes wrong, not take it personal. Because as parents, we try to afford our kids the consciously good parents. We try to afford our children the best opportunities to go out there and make something happen in their lives. And it don't work out. But we can't say to our children, give me all of that money back, all of that time, all of that money, all of that. I put you in this sport, that sport, this arts, that arts. And then you turn out to be this. Nah, man, I want a refund. We don't do that because that's not what love does. So it should be the same thing too. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't expect to get your money back when you're doing business with your family. But what I'm saying is don't part with something that you can't part with. So let's just say A does what they're supposed to do, and then they become self-sufficient and successful, able to pay B back the 100,000 plus the 20%, which is 20,000. So B made an investment over a year. Let's just say it took a year. B made an investment over a year to get to make $20,000, which is pretty dope for a $100,000 investment. And now A and B are now both self-sufficient. Albeit B went to college, got a degree, and got into a field, but A found a trade and worked that trade and used the resources to build up that trade. So now they're making really good money. So C comes along, rinse and repeat, same thing. D comes along, rinse and repeat, same thing. So now Queenie has 4 children, A, B, C, and D, and they're all doing very financially well for themselves. Now, how can they? Now, what else is they supposed to do? The building should never stop. Just because you build one thing, 2 things, 3 things, 4 things individually, shouldn't stop. So let's just say one of them come back and say, "Hey, listen, guys, we need to go ahead and acquire some land. I saw 100 acres of land, and I'm just using round numbers. I saw 100 acres of land for $1 million. Hey guys, let's put our resources together and let's buy that land, and then let's put 100 doors of multifamily homes on those, and let's make each door for rent $1,500 a month. So that $1,500 a month times 100 doors is $150,000 a month. And when you divide that by 4, it's $37,500 every month without sweating at all that A, B, C, and D will get individually because they put it together. Well, let's just say they go out there and they do 10 properties like that. Same cost for the math. That's $375,000 a month that each one of them will get. Let's say it was 20. That's $750,000 a month. At that point, you start saying, do I even need to work my job anymore? Or let's just say person B can quit their job because they got this income coming in. They got all of their free time back working together. And let's just say person A, they say, you know what? I'm going to have other people run my operation on my lawn care service. So I'm not going to, and person C and D do the same thing. I'm going to let other people run my operations, and I'm going to sit back and just manage it from afar. And I'm going to focus on different opportunities and not trade my time for dollars. They've created essentially something that will protect all of them, and they've created something that's going to make sure Queenie is taken care of for the rest of her life. Because as Queenie gets older, she's going to need more things. So she's going to need more help. And now the finances are there to do it. So, but we're not working together like that because we're in competition with each other. We're in competition in relationships. We're in competition with families. It is fight, 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 divide, divide, divide. Don't speak, don't speak, don't speak. Don't talk, don't talk. Don't talk. Don't communicate. Don't do anything with each other. We're going to even not like each other when we don't have nothing to not like each other about. Like, I'm going to pick a fight with you. I'm going to pick an argument with you so we can have some divide. I don't like the way you're doing this, and I don't like the way you're doing that, so I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to talk to you. When the nuclear foundation of economics is the family structure. But we're always fighting about who's going first, who gets the most credit, who makes the most money, who does it better, who does it worst, who finished first, who finished last, how much did I win by? We're focused on the wrong things. The microcosm of our issues are we focused our energies on the wrong thing. I know this person who, how can I say this? This person is focused on the wrong things. If I have a house and I want to sell my house for $1 million, and I want to sell it, if a stranger comes up to me with a briefcase, opens the briefcase, and says, "This is $1 million. I want to buy your house right now." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, but I got to get my things out of the house." They said, "Let me look at your things." And they go in the house and they look at my furniture. And let's just say there's $250,000 worth of things in the house from a furniture standpoint. Let's just make it that. So $1 million plus $250,000 is $1.125 million. They say, "I like the things in the house. Leave the house as it is. Just take your clothes, get out. I'll give you $1.125 million right now." You would think that it would be an open and shut case, wouldn't it? But there are people out there, "Well, I want to learn more about you and your family. I want to learn about who you are. I want to learn about what are the things that you like to do, your hobbies. What kind of a person you are, and what do you intend to do with my house?" Why? This person didn't seem like they wanted a relationship with you. Why are you trying to have a relationship with that person? And you're dragging the process. And you may be destitute. You may need that money. And you're sitting there and you're worried about the wrong things. I don't get it. Are we sick? There's some sickness about us. Some of you like to play the game more than you like to win. Some of you like the nuances of the game. Some of you will drag the game on. Some of you like to be chased. Some of you like to be chased and chased to the point where you don't even want them to catch you. You just want them to keep chasing you because the feeling that you get from the chase. The feelings is just a measurement of where you are in terms of reality. But it's so important to you that feelings rule your life. And as soon as somebody stops chasing you, you go, "Well, I thought you wanted it." But don't nobody want something that they can't get. If I'm chasing you, let's just say, it's a girl and I want to be with her and I'm chasing her. I only want to chase her if I know I can catch her. I don't want to chase her if I don't think I'm going to ever catch her. That's going to be a waste of my time. And really and truthfully, if we both have expressed interest with each other, I don't want to chase at all. If you're interested in me and I'm interested in you, what are we chasing? Just tell me, riddle me that. Why are we chasing each other? We're just going to go and chase each other. I mean, not chase each other. You're just going to make me chase you because you love the thrill of the chase. Congratulations, you like a thriller. But this is life. This is real. Don't make me play these games. If I don't have a chance, let me know. If I do, when I'm in business, when I'm doing business and everything like that, and I'm dealing with somebody, I want to know what their interest is. I want to know what's the timeline for doing something. A lot of times the timeline tells me how important it is. Somebody says, "Yeah, I want to do something in the next 6 months." Okay. Well, we should probably revisit, in about 5, 6 months from now. Well, why can't we do it right now? So many variables will change. I want to be mindful of your time, and I also want to be mindful of my time. And the way we're going to do it is when you're ready to engage, then we'll go ahead and we'll engage so we can go ahead and make a decision about what you want to do and then try to get you with that. Because at the end of the day, I need you to understand that I'm not in business to have fun. I'm in business to make money. And so I don't this doesn't end well for me unless it's a transaction, and it doesn't mean that I have to make a transaction on every turn, but I have to have a realistic shot of making a transaction. And some people will drag you along with no intentions of closing the deal. So I'm gonna wrap up right there. But I want you guys, especially you females out there, I want you to really, really just stop being so dang delusional and start thinking about things realistically. What a man used to be able to do in the 70s was harder in the 80s, was harder in the 90s, and if we fast forward today, it's the same thing that you're expecting a man to do is very extremely difficult. What would be more purposeful, what would be more conducive is if you find a man with a vision that you can align with and you help him accomplish his vision, then it'll make it happen. Then you can have that type of lifestyle. You can't just fast forward to being to the finish line. You have to jump in the race with a man. If he's got some motion going about him and he wants to get somewhere and you like where he's going, grab onto him and take that ride with him. That's going to help sew up his concerns or questions about loyalty. If you can run the race with him and when it's tough, you still focused and locked in on him. Don't no man want a woman that don't care about his vision and don't care about what he's trying to do, and the only thing she wants to be able to do is come around, look cute, give him some every now and then so she can have access to everything that he got. That's bull crap. And I hope you women that keep that mindset, I hope you just live out the rest of your lives and be alone. I could say something mean, but that's another thing too. We too sensitive today. But make room for the women that will the real ladies please stand up, and will the rest of you sit down? Nobody wants to deal with you, and I'm just gonna give you a news flash. The only thing you're good for is fun. Nobody really wants to deal with you. They pretend to want to deal with you, and you're delusional for thinking so otherwise. All right, take care.